To go from being a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed social work student to that post-grad life is a big adjustment, but it doesn't have to be difficult. Hi, my name is Sojourner. Welcome to Sojournies. I'm a remote social worker and travel creator, and today I'm talking about my tips for new social work grads. I got my MSW in 2020. I do not have a BSW, but I do have my master's, and I don't regret it at all. I did a whole video about that if you want to check it out, but I wanted to give some additional tips for new social work grads who are about to enter the workforce. So the first thing I would tell you is to do not get caught up in what other folks are doing. Between LinkedIn and social media like Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and Threads and all the things that are popping up, it can be really easy to get caught up in what your peers are doing and comparing yourself. And when you are graduating, that is the last thing you need to be worried about. You are in your own lane, you're on your own journey. You do not need to compare yourself. Block out the noise, maybe stay off social media for a little while before you can get your head on straight and understand where you're at and where you want to go. Comparison is a thief of joy. I know that's cliche, but it's very much true. And everyone has their own lane and their own path. You just haven't found yours yet, or you're still waiting for that one opportunity to make that lane reality. But comparing yourself to other people is not going to get you there. So don't do it. The second thing is not to be defined by your degree. I mentioned this in What I Wish I Knew Before I Got My MSW video, but a lot of the time social work school does not prepare us to market ourselves once we leave social work school. They tell us to pick a concentration or specialization, and then we're supposed to just do that. And if we have tons of skills, we can talk about outside of those concentrations and specializations. Job titles nowadays aren't a joke, but a lot of them do not explain the majority of the job. Most of them don't include social worker, but that doesn't mean you can't do the job. So what I recommend is that you know the skills you have. What are those hard skills? What are those soft skills? What are skills that maybe aren't fully developed, but if put in the right position can be enhanced because they are transferable? You need to answer those questions as you prepare to leave your social work program. My next tip is to network. Network. People always say your network is your net worth. And I'm not trying to get really capitalistic here, but it is nice to have folks in your network who are able to guide you, to help you, to support you, to maybe just get you an interview. If they can't get you the job, at least maybe they can get you the interview in order to have the career path that you want as a social worker. I got my remote social work job due to networking, due to having a connection to someone, and therefore that was a big part of why I was able to get the role. Of course I had the degree, of course I had the skills, the hard skills, soft skills, and also tons of transferable skills to make the role my own, to excel, and to be here 3 years later. But a lot of that came from my network, and so I highly recommend you continue to develop yours, or if you haven't, start right now, like today. You need to be starting to develop that network, to meet people, to look up in associations that you may want to be a part of. For example, as an evaluator, we have the American Evaluation Association, and there's a conference. So if there's time for you to attend a conference before you graduate, or to do a career fair and meet people that way, figuring out ways to get that face time with folks, because even if you have all the degree requirements, the skills, sometimes you end up being just a piece of paper in their big pile of resumes. In order to stand out, sometimes it means having that face-to-face time to meet with someone, to show them who you are, so that when the time comes, they can perhaps, if it goes well, vouch for you to get that role. I highly recommend leadership development programs, using your career services, your alumni services, especially if you're on campus. Do not sleep on those resources they have for you. You're paying for them. You're literally paying for most of those buildings to be up and functioning. And so you want to make sure you are utilizing all of those networks that are at your disposal with social workers and non-social workers. Okay, don't limit yourself. You never know what the law students or the business students have to offer social workers either, especially if you want to be a non-traditional social worker. So use all your options, every single one of them, in order to build that network. And this network is also important because once you leave campus, it's a lot harder to kind of meet like-minded people. It's not impossible, but it can be a bit difficult because at a university, you are all there. You're learning together, you're growing together, you're in classes together. So you're able to make those connections. And obviously you want to continue to develop those. Don't just leave your friends from grad school behind because they don't have the money and resources to get you that job. You never know who you're going to stay connected with. And so you want to make sure that even once you graduate, you are building a network of like-minded people, personally and professionally, in order to bond with and build that community network with as well. One tip that I wish someone had told me as a new graduate was about getting a mentor outside of social work. Yes, you can have a social work mentor who is able to develop you as a social worker, give you tips and tricks and strategies on being the best social worker you can be. But also, it's really nice to have someone who is outside of social work, who doesn't have the same education and training, to offer a different perspective or a different point of view on whatever you're going through as a social worker. This is similar to networking, but it's also nice to have this mentor be someone who you don't work with, because you want to have someone who's outside of your immediate networks to make sure you're still mingling even if you do get a job. I think having a career mentor is vital because you never know when your career path is going to change. You don't know what you'll end up doing, and having someone there who's kind of been with you and kind of knows you in a way that maybe your mom or your best friend doesn't know you and can't provide advice is really beneficial. This next tip is one that I think a lot of social workers struggle with, and it's do not forget to negotiate your salary. Now, depending upon the area of social work you're in, it can be a bit harder for you to negotiate a salary if you're working for a nonprofit that doesn't have a whole lot of money. However, it's worth trying. At my university, they actually offered a negotiation class, and if you couldn't attend that, they had negotiation skill sessions closer to graduation. So if you were about to enter your last year of social work school, go back and tap into your career services, talk to your advisor about what are those skill building opportunities they'll be offering throughout the semester so that you're prepared for graduation. It is a myth that we have to take whatever salary we're offered, whatever package we're offered. You are the prize. You have skills and a degree that would make any company happy to have you, and you have to know how to talk about them, so you have to know how to then negotiate once you get in there. My last tip for new social workers is do not be afraid, do not be scared if your social work career path has changed. When I enrolled in my international social work program, I thought for sure I wanted to work for like the United Nations or someone big in the UN or in the international NGO space. But the more I learned about international development and some of the issues I do have with the field, I realized I would love to work for a smaller grassroots organization. Well, that didn't happen due to COVID, and then changed again when I wanted to be a social worker on traveling study abroad programs, which I didn't know until I talked to my advisor, who then linked me with someone else who was doing something similar. My dreams changed, and now I'm a remote social worker. So I pivoted 3 times before I even graduated with my MSW. So if you're someone who's kind of on the fence or nervous about your passions changing, don't worry about it. It happens to all of us. If you're in a program for 2 years, 1 year, a year and a half, or even 4 years at the BSW level, chances are you're going to change, and maybe that career path is part of that change. It doesn't mean you have to abandon your degree. It just means you'll be using your degree in a different way. Life comes at you fast. I did not plan on living through a pandemic. I did not plan on having to pivot on my last semester of my MSW program into a research and evaluation role of becoming a remote social worker, but it turned out that it was kind of for the best, and I've made the most of it. So embrace the pivot. Don't be scared of the pivot. Just know what skills you have to make that pivot possible. And if you are someone who is interested in remote social work or even a little bit of international social work, I do have my remote social work 101 guide linked in the description box. It is free, and when you sign up, you are also added to my remote social work weekly newsletter, or almost weekly. I am a one-woman show, y'all. It's just me, so sometimes I may miss a week or 2, but I try to have it sent out every week so you all have fresh remote social work jobs in your inbox, so you yourself can find freedom and flexibility outside the office. So if you're interested in remote social work or want to learn more about it, Feel free to go download that guide and send me an email with any follow-up questions that you may have. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your post-graduation journey. It may seem a bit challenging, a bit daunting, but in the end, you work it out. So thanks again. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave any other comments or questions below. And as always, stay curious, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.